Mike, turn your games down.
Hi everyone, episode 192 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who is with me tonight?
Hey, it's me, Daniel Mellman. You do this every time, and I never have something clever prepared.
That's part of the plan.
Yeah. But hi.
Welcome back.
Glad to be here.
And our other guest.
Wahoo! It's Vincent Goodwin from the Some of My Friends Read Comics podcast.
And welcome back.
I scared my child, I think, with that.
I heard myself again.
Yeah. I'm hearing it too, so I think it's on your end, Vincent.
I heard that. Okay, so we are here to talk about Super Mario 3D Land that came out for 3DS in 2011. Damn, this game is over 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 11. Actually,
God, it doesn't feel like that.
Really? Okay. I remember when I got this, where I played this, and I was in school, so I remember this game's release, and it feels exactly as old. Just like that's my life a decade ago.
That makes sense. For me, I didn't get a 3DS until I want to say a year before the podcast. A friend of mine I was working at sold it to me for like $120 for a 3DS and a bunch of games, a few Pokemon games. I got a really good deal. He knew that. He just didn't care. Mm-hmm. And I played it around that time, and I was like, okay, this is fine. But then I never bothered with it again. I actually had low thoughts of this game until this past 2 weeks. Yeah, I didn't like it when I played it back then.
I associate this game with a specific bathroom in a dorm room. Not in a dorm room, in a dorm.
Okay.
And I also was a little I love Mario, but I was a little tepid on it. I enjoyed it at first, and it kind of grew on me even over that first playthrough. I didn't do everything, but I did all the normal and special worlds. And by the end, I'm just like, oh yeah, I really like this game. And every few years, I'll replay it and like it more every time. And it's one of my favorite Mario games now.
Right. Yeah, I think. Yeah, for me, it was like a revelation, from the get go, and I'm not sure entirely why. It hit right. I actually got this. I got the 3DS for my bachelor party weekend. So
nice.
the 3DS XL came out I would say a week before my bachelor party. So I got it then. So 2012. So 10 years ago, this weekend. And then I flew and had this on that flight, and it was just oh my gosh, the 3DS One rules. I played this in Cave Story interchangeably, and it was just great. And actually, my prevailing memory of it is me and my wife when she was in labor with our first child, and I was playing 3D Land and she was playing Candy Crush Saga. So it is an old game if you think about it in that context, because there's just a lot of hurry up and wait. So I remember playing the Mario 3D Land, specifically the special worlds, which we'll get into, during her labor. So that's what I remember. I loved it from the beginning, and actually we'll get into it, I guess, a little more, but it hits right to me, in the way that I don't know. I was a little not super high on Galaxy. Daniel, were you high on Galaxy? Or
So Galaxy, I'm getting the same echo. Could you mute yourself? Cool.
Yeah.
So Galaxy, I played in the dorm common room because I didn't have a Wii at first. I liked it. I didn't love it. I kind of didn't fall in love with Galaxy until a few years ago, but I love Galaxy 2. So, I was on board. I love Mario. But yeah, okay. Galaxy's okay.
I have never done it.
I think that's where it was at, though. It's and there's a place where you get with Nintendo games where sometimes I'm I'm a big Nintendo fanboy, and sometimes I'm not feeling what Nintendo's putting down. And specifically I don't like the Luigi's Mansion games. They just don't hit right for me. And so every now and then the Mario games, I'm just I get into a sour point with them. Sunshine's all right, but it's kind of tedious. And then Galaxy 1 and 2 are doing a lot of really cool things, but sometimes I'm I don't want to replay this right now. And then that's where I was kind of dreading going into 3D Land, which is probably why I held off for a year and a half of buying a 3DS. It's just I'm not putting down what Nintendo's or getting what Nintendo's putting down. And then it just seems it's a weird merger of what I've heard is Crash Bandicoot, which I haven't played much of, but in terms of this is very linear levels with a 2.5D, not even 2.5D. It's kind of, it's not a 3D game. It's more a brawler where you can kind of go up and down on a kind of a semi X and Y axis, but still jump in the air.
And
more
than
a full.
It's
right.
3D, but it usually has a not a fixed camera because you have some control, but basically fixed. Like you don't need to think about the camera.
I did a lot. Well, maybe not the camera, but I had to always figure out where the hell I was at because I couldn't tell.
Really?
Yeah. Well, okay, I played this on an emulator, so I played this on a PC. I got to put that out there, but because I want a safe state. So I couldn't. So sometime with like the 3D, like when I was going for a lot of star coins, I would have to look for the shadow, be able to figure out where the fuck I was standing versus where the coin was. That happened a lot for me.
Yeah, or you could just not do all the star coins, which is how I did it.
Well, no, you did I didn't mean to. Like, I don't know what came over me as I played through this game. So we were talking over this for like, over the course of the week or two before we do this episode. And so I beat the game. I did all 8 worlds. I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm turned off. I'm not going to play anymore. And I kept going through the special worlds. Okay, I'm not going to play anymore. I got the special world 8, found I needed like 60 more star coins. And then something happened. And then I ended up with 290 star coins. I just couldn't stop. I just got the urge to keep going back. And that's not normal for me.
This game is, you just like, levels are like 3 to 5 minutes long. Probably more like 2 minutes. Like you just pop them and they're all so good. And all the star coins are so satisfying to get. Like there's always this little joke or story around getting them. I also got all the star coins just because I wanted to. Like there's not a boring one to get.
Right.
Except maybe the one in that Zelda level. But that's memorable at least.
There's a Zelda level in this game where it's like fully top down and like it has even like the Zelda chimes and you use like the fireball power to like light lanterns the way you would in a Zelda game. It's like I love it. What are we doing here? But like that's the kind of like fuck it game that this is, and I love it. It's just it feels like very fresh. And them like the part when Nintendo plays it safe, like with like New Super Mario Brothers 1 for DS, I don't like them. When they start like just fucking around, it gets real fun. This feels a lot like Mario Maker levels to me, especially in the special world where they're just like throwing mechanics out there. And I guess we should probably say,
Yes.
So this game has a standard like 8 worlds and then credits. And I remember clarifying with you guys before I was recording, like, are we just doing that to get to credits? Or are we doing the special world? Because the special world's where stuff gets hard. And by that, I mean, there's a full other 8 worlds. It's like another campaign, basically.
Yeah.
And like you, Mike, I beat it and then
levels.
immediately felt compelled to go play the special worlds. So
yeah, no, I mean, I didn't expect I didn't expect myself to do it. I was supposed to be done with this game. It was just one of those things where if you guys wanted to, like, feel free. But, like, no, I mean, they do get very, very challenging, I think, in the special. And you're right, Dan. They're, like, a lot of, like, time, they're, like, the same level, but they altered stuff.
Yeah.
But like, it feels different. It does feel very different.
Well, that's part of the fun, right? Because you'll go into this familiar level and it'll be like, oh, you have shadow clones chasing you, or oh, you have 20 seconds and need to beat enemies to keep the timer filling up.
That was
just
kind of cool.
Stuff like that. It's fun. And this game isn't super difficult in the first 8 worlds, at least compared to the other Marios. So it's nice having something a little stiffer.
Yeah,
to go through.
I think my issue with the modern Mario games, and you can see this through 3D World and a few others, is like I think the first 2 worlds of most Mario games are very boring to me because they're onboarding players and they don't really like show their hand or show like any of the interesting new mechanics until like the end of World 2, beginning of World 3. Like Mario World, I think introduces the cherries right at the end of the second world where you like have like the split characters and stuff. And this game is very similar. Like I think like, I mean, it's fine, but it's like pretty ho-hum if you've been playing Mario for 35 years. And so I think with a lot of the Mario games, especially the modern Mario games, like through like the new Super Mario series and Super Mario 3D World, they aren't very interesting in the first couple worlds. They start like trying to onboard new players. So they're pretty simple, especially for players that have been playing like myself, Mario for like, I would say 35 years. So like, but like Mario 3D World introduces, and we're not talking about this game, but like introduces like the cherries at the end of the second world. And then that's where shit gets popping. And like the game starts really showing like, here's where we're unique. Here's where we're like different. And I kind of feel the same way with this game. It's like, as Daniel said, like it's easy. It's pretty, there's not much barriers, but the game doesn't really like the first world. You're like, okay, well, this is all right, but it's just like Mario levels with kind of like a little more planes. And then it shit gets popping. And I really like as the game goes on, especially when you get to the special world, you're like, oh, this is now where like we're starting to get some crazy Mario things going on.
I had fun with the first world again this time, but this is also my fifth time playing this game, and I kind of have trust in it. And it did take a little while to grow on me on that first go. But early on, they're still introducing fun ideas. They're just ideas we've maybe seen before. You got like, the Tanooki suit in the first one, and the moving platforms in the second level. It's just a little more standard. But
yeah,
it's still really good. Like, every level in this game is so carefully designed.
Yeah.
Can we? I read an interesting interview with the director, Koichi Hayashida, who said the levels are inspired by four panel manga and like Chinese poetry. Kishon Tenketsu, they're called, apparently, where like the first panel is you have an idea, the second panel is like you elaborate on it, so you test the player a little more, and then you like add a twist to it to add stakes, and then the fourth is supposed to bring it back. And he said he wanted to provide a narrative structure to each level to like dealing with those mechanics and ideas. Once you see it and go through the levels, it's pretty rigid, and it always works.
Right. I can see that. I mean, because the game does a very good job of introducing something to you and then having you learn ways to work with what they just taught you. I mean, I didn't really even think about it when I was playing through the game, but now that you mention it, that is kind of how this game works.
Right. I mean, it's classic Mario design. And I think we talked about this a little on the iNinja episode 187, games my mom found. But the idea is, because that doesn't do it, but like this, like the mechanic that I think may be new here is the 3 colored blocks, the red, yellow, blue blocks that go like in musical succession. They may be in Galaxy or one of the new games. But like you go in there and they show you the red, yellow, blue blocks, and they go in time. But if you fail and fall on it, you're just like falling like a step. You don't have to even really lose time. You just have to go restart it. You're not going to die ever in a classic Mario game with the first introduction of a new mechanic. Then the second mechanic they add, what you said, like here you have to do this.
It's over a bottomless pit.
Right. And then there's a bottomless pit. And then like we start like, we're going to integrate this with like also like with lava or like a rolling spiky thing. So you're going to have to be going like in a circle this time. And the shapes are now going to be like different shapes, not just like standard rectangles. Like it classically builds in a way that like games that fail, like they introduce you to a mechanic that instantly has stakes without you just getting like, okay, this is what I have to do. And Mario's so good about that, especially when it's right. And this game is very right on its like introducing new mechanics. It's so good.
And then every level's goalpost, the flag. They have the flags from one back. Getting to the top of the flag, which is something you need for 100% completion, also is like this little twist on that mechanic. Like every flag in this game is different, and they're all cool.
Right. And that was so exciting to see back, because none of the 3D Marios had that at that point. It was just usually you ended it by getting a star or a shine or whatever. It's like we're ending on a flagpole again. And it's in a 3D space, so it's even different than like how the new Super Mario Brothers series was. It's so
I have never played those really yet.
The new games?
What?
I mean, the new Super Mario Brothers games.
They're okay.
Yeah,
they're phenomenal games, but they're more Mario games, but they look ugly.
Yeah, they look ugly, and I think the one from 06, the first one on DS, plays it pretty safe. And then the Wii one's pretty good. The 3DS one, which came out a year later than this, like in 2012, I think they put their B team on it, and so it's all like people learning it, and they go crazy, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so people hate that game, New Super Mario Brothers 2. I love it. It's like the gimmick is it's about collecting coins. So there are just coins everywhere. Every time you look into a secret, you're like showered with 50 coins.
All right, maybe I'll try it for the show at some point then.
Yeah,
it's fun.
I mean, like this was another game that I had no, like like I said at the top of the show, like when I came into this, I didn't think anything about it. And I was blown away by, like, you guys are right. Like everything was just kind of like, I like it that it's easy. Like I like it that for the most part, this game, because I save state everything and I didn't have to a whole lot. I was able to kind of just play around with the mechanics, play around with the game because it wasn't that challenging. And that was nice for me. I also love the fact that this game is obsessed with the Tanooki suit. And to me, that's a very cool thing that it does. I have no...
And it's funny because the game because it does reintroduce the raccoon tail from classic Mario and stuff, but from Mario Bros. 3, which I don't think was in any previous Mario game since that. because I remember it being introduced with like
it's
the
not.
3D Land logo with the little like raccoon tail on it, and I remember us going like, "Oh shit, this is gonna be awesome." But the actual like classic Tanooki part, where you turn into the statue from Mario Brothers 3, isn't introduced till the Special World 1.
Yeah, but that part is.
But-
I mean that.
But that's cool because
That's
like
awesome. I think they held that back. That's wild to me.
it's just
I
like
also don't
Go ahead,
care
Eric.
about
Go
the
ahead,
statue.
Mike.
The statue part at all, because like when I even played 3 as a kid, I've never finished 3. I never liked that statue, or I never even used it, or I barely knew it existed. Like I thought it was cool they had that. Again, I agree with you guys. It's cool they hold the leaf back, but it's like that statue don't matter. I mean, you have the main power up. You have the tails. All that matters.
I want to talk about what I think they're doing with that focus on the Tanooki suit, and I think it's great, but also there's always just a little bit of disappointment that they have that and you can't fly with it. It's just like it's a good power up. It's a good power up in this game, but you can fly in 3. Mario can fly. That's so cool. That's the cover of that game.
Yeah. So 2 things on that. Like, one, it's great just mechanically that you need like a hover jump, kind of just a flutter thing, especially in this 3D space. Like, it's really good, so like where you can fucking land.
A lot too.
And you do, because that's always the problem, and that's why like in Sunshine it had like the floater hover, because they know that people just like misjudge jumps in 3D. So that's important. But 2, my son, who's like 8, fucking doesn't understand that the raccoon tail makes you fly. Like, he's like, yeah, I hate this thing. All it does is make me like slow. And I'm like, no, dude, like you take off with it. It's flipping awesome. And he like just doesn't process it.
So they added that they kind of like balanced the raccoon tail and gave that extra raccoon tail when you die like 5 times on a level. With playtests they did by going to the next office and like finding this old woman who'd never played a video game before and asking her to playtest. And that's how they playtested for like that market. Just this random person they grabbed.
I like the idea that she became a beast, like at Mario. Like they ruined her for testing. She got too good.
I mean, she's like the first person to really play this game from the public. They did that, and they played Super Mario Galaxy 2 on the tiniest TV they could find. It's how they like balance the basic ideas for this game.
Wow,
that's smart. Yeah, because Galaxy 2 gets real hard because they're like, let's just do it. Like Galaxy 2 is a pretty fun one. Yeah.
I think the Galaxy games are great now. I was disappointed at the time, but I think they're amazing. And that's where this director, well, he started as a programmer on Sunshine, but he did the level design for Galaxy 1 and directed Galaxy 2.
Yeah, because Galaxy 2 is a lot more no frills. Like the menu navigation is just like, here we are. There's no like trying to find stuff in a hub world. And I think
I've never played Galaxy 2 ever. I own it. Yeah. I've never touched it.
Galaxy 2 is apparently hard to play on an emulator because like controlling Yoshi with the pointer is hard to do unless you're using like normal Wii controls. I think that's why I heard that's why it wasn't ported to Switch, is just because that's the theory at least, is just there's a lot to do between, because they mapped like the pointer to a touchscreen for the Switch port of Galaxy 1, and there's a lot more to do. Yeah, but I think when you add Yoshi to the mix, it throws it off even.
I mean, could you use a mouse with it maybe?
Well, you can use the Joy-Con as a motion thing, but I think they want it to feel seamless in handheld mode.
Yeah.
Okay. Because whenever I do it someday, it will be with a mouse, because I fucking hate the Wii. So, as I've said on the show many times, I just hate the Wii controls. I won't touch it. I own multiple Wii's.
That may stop your Galaxy 2 playthrough.
I mean, you could do it. You'll be fine. Yeah. But back to what I think they're doing with the Tanooki tail, this really feels like they're going back to Mario 3's almost values, because Mario World and 64 and Sunshine especially were so much more about exploring and experimenting with how these different mechanics combine, while Mario 3 is just, here's a ton of levels with a difficulty curve you can sort of decide for yourself. We're going to keep throwing ideas at you, and there's going to be this ramp up and it's going to be great. And I don't think we really had a Mario game with that spirit since.
We didn't.
Except maybe Galaxy 2.
Oh. Yeah, because I think they like to go back to the Mario 1 well a lot. But the Mario 3 well is where like it's really like, for me, is where I love Mario. So
Mario 3 is so good.
So good.
It's so good. And this really feels like what you would have expected the first 3D Mario game to feel like in 1995 before Mario 64 came out.
Okay. That's a really good way to put it, because I mean, this game, you have Mario in a 3D space, but the levels are still very linear. Like, you're right, it's not about exploration. We have a lot of old power-ups, too, that would have been in 3. I didn't really think about till just now. Like, we talked about, immensely, the Tanooki tail. You have the Hammer Brothers suit, which I don't think has returned, or not Hammer, but you have the Boomerang suit, which is essentially Hammer Brothers suit. But, I mean, I don't think that's returned since 3.
That's from Galaxy, too. That's in the Galaxy games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's why.
There's a final...
The final level of Galaxy 2 has you, like, fighting a bunch of Boomerang Brothers with that, and then the harder version of it is, like, do it with 1 hit point without this suit.
Yeah.
I want to talk about Mario completion, because I think what this game does is pretty cool, but that game gets hard.
Yeah. I think on power-ups, it's hard for me to remember what came from what. I don't think there's anything, like, new in terms of power-ups here, because I think the propeller head and the coin block head and
that's from the Wii one, for sure.
Yeah, they all come from I think they all come from like the 2D new games, or Galaxy with like the Boomerang suit. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything new here, but it's all used well. Yeah, and it's absolutely what you would expect to see for a Mario in '96, rather than what we got, which pretty much breaks the mold. Mario 64 is not it's not a straight line from the previous Mario games that came before it. This seems much more like a straight line.
It's a straight line in that Super Mario Brothers defined what video games were in 2D,
right?
And the way Super Mario 64 defined what they were in 3D, but it's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I also think this game does a good job with its enemies too. Like the enemies, I felt were fine. Like, I mean, again, it's a Mario game; they're just basic things in your way to. But like the fact that I always tried to have the Tanooki tail, like I loved having enemies. I could just hit them with my tail all the time. Like I could kill almost everything like that, and I really enjoyed that. Like I had a blast playing most levels in this game. And the Tanooki suit I thought was just great all the time.
Yeah. It really feels like the best power up, except for sometimes the fire flower. Like underwater levels, you're going to want the fire flower for certain puzzles, but it's not quite the level as the cat suit in 3D World, where it's just this is most of your moveset is in this power up, but it's definitely the most flexible and useful in the whole situation.
I also love how the joke of the Tanooki suit is everywhere. Like enemies you fight for the first time have Tanooki tails, like a lot, like Thwomps do, Goombas do, like Bowser does in some of your fights. Like I actually really enjoy that. And as you progress through the game, you have Toads that are wearing Tanooki suits. Like I beat this game. I beat the final level 3 times. And one was the original beating it. One was I did it to get more star coins because I was finishing up all the world before I went on to finish the last star world. And the third, after you beat World 16, we'll talk about later, it took, or Special World 8, it had me rebeat the game again, and the fight was different, a little different. Like, I mean, we'll get into that later, but like that, there's just so much of this game. Like I was really surprised. And one thing we haven't mentioned about yet, it also has like a lot of these little boxes that you can end up earning extra star coins and you can get power-ups from, and they refill by Street Pass, I guess. I'm not sure about that because they've occasionally refilled seemingly at random for me. They do.
So I didn't replay this game for this podcast because I played it like a couple months ago. This is my exercise bike game. This is a game I play on the exercise bike because it's so enjoyable to just like knock out a few levels. But going in those boxes, this got me to 300 star coins. I'd already had a 100% save file, with one exception, which I'll get to when we talk about completion stuff.
No, I mean, that was something that I know because I was Googling stuff online about them. They do refill through Street Pass, which obviously I didn't have the access to, but I think they refill automatically too. I thought maybe it was the emulator just did it to emulate the fact that there is no Street Pass, but I don't know for sure. Maybe you're right. Maybe they just, after a certain amount of time, because I would leave it alone for like a day or two and then come back to it and then they'd be open again and I go do them all and get more coins.
They definitely refill, and then the power-up ones have your your friends' faces on them, but I haven't seen my friends with 3DSs in years.
Yeah, like a lot of games from this, portable games from this era, it's very much designed to be played on a train in Tokyo. Not to the point that maybe a Monster Hunter is, but they even said that's what the level lengths were. They were made to play on a commute, specifically.
I like that idea. I wish America was more about busing and train and not just, all right, get in your car and let's sit for half an hour.
I mean, Yes, we could
Depending where you
have
live, I know.
another very different podcast about the automotive industry and
Yeah, no, I know. I know.
and the history it's had, like killing greener, friendlier options.
I know, it's very true. Like
Urban areas. But yes.
This isn't ways the automotive industry destroyed our environment and our culture.
Mom
my mom found. It's not that.
Hey, sometimes we do get political on here, and history depends on the game. But
you know, those are reasons that America should have more trains, and so is Super Mario 3D Land.
Yeah, I forgot when I got this for my bachelor party weekend, and it was in New York City, so I was like cleaning up street passes on my first week I had my 3DS. Nice. It was the best being in New York City. Yeah, that thing was awesome.
So what are as a guy who never actually really played 3DS, what are street pass essentially?
So they're definitely applied in different video games, specifically in Mario 3D Land. What they do is you walk by people. There's kind of like some type of way that they talk to each other by just being in close proximity. The two people who have 3DSs closed and in sleep mode. The game doesn't have to be active. Okay. But it shoots like hey, I've got this in like 40 games worth of data or whatever, and I'll send this to you and you'll send it to me. And you'll get like, hey, in this Mario game, I beat all these special worlds in this amount of time. So I have a lot of my friends, I guess, that I communicated with a long time ago. And I'll see their record times for the special world. Like they did this level in 150 seconds. Yeah. So there's just like little things like that. It says like, hey, you're friends with this. They sent you a power up, which I think is just BS. But like that. And then New Super Mario Brothers 2 also had that. But it was like, this is how many coins they got in this level in this time. Can you beat that?
And in a lot of the Dragon Quest games, the portable remakes add like museums, and the museums will be mementos of people you've met, which is cute.
Right.
That's cool.
It actually all came from Dragon Quest 9, which was actually a DS game, and the Street Pass was built into the cartridge. But it sent every single player, I believe, had a special map, like that was like a randomly generated map.
Oh, yeah.
And in Japan, there was one, I don't know how much Dragon Quest y'all play, but metal slimes are this thing that have a lot of XP in them. And there was one person that had one that had, I think it's like a Morimoto map or something like that. And they passed on, and you could basically a map with a ton of metal slimes to get a ton of XP. And it like proliferated through Japan, through train culture, because everybody was like trying to get this one Morimoto map. Basically like a virus that they passed it on to everybody. And then it got out into the rest of the world. I'd never seen it. Because you have to have Dragon Quest 9 in your system, and the likelihood of me passing somebody with Dragon Quest 9 in your system in sleep mode is very unlikely. Very low.
It's not even on my system. I'm looking at the case with it right now, but it's not in my 3DS. And Dragon Quest 9 also had multiplayer, and like you got rewards for like opening it and forming parties with people. Like playing that on commutes must have been amazing. Just when everyone in Japan was playing Dragon Quest.
Now that you mention it, like I can see more and more of this game with the levels that are made for that. It makes me like wish that I would have been like, for me, I played this game in between and doing other stuff like waiting for phone calls, let's say. And it was a perfect game for that. It was a perfect game. Like, okay, I can crank out a level here in like, 2-3 minutes, because the average time it takes from I get done with one thing to the next thing is about 5 to 10 minutes. So, I mean, so that worked too, the idea that I was able to kind of just play through or just play a little bit of it. And it's kind of game too where you can stop mid-level and pick it back up and everything's fine. Like it doesn't affect anything. It doesn't hurt anything. You just pick right back up where you were. And that was nice. Like I didn't get lost. Well, you can't get lost with Mario game, or Mario levels like this, but it was just nice. It was just a very nice, easy pickup thing. Speaking of Tanooki tails, I forgot even the bombs have Tanooki tails at one point in this game.
Yeah, and did you notice how after bosses it'll be a regular enemy and a Tanooki power-up will like spawn, and it wasn't actually Bowser. It was like, oh, this was a Goomba that found a Tanooki leaf and became Bowser.
I like that. I also like the boss fights. I mean, you don't have them in every level, every world, but like where you're pretty much getting chased by Bowser and then you have to like get through it eventually. Like I thought, again, it's a throwback to Mario 1, and I like it. I also like the fact that this game, is this the first Mario game that bring back the airship since 3?
No, they're definitely in the new game.
I think they're I played Super Mario World.
Way, yes.
And then I've skipped, like I've never played New Super Mario Brothers. I played Wii once, one New Year's Eve. I played Super Mario Brothers Wii for like a good few hours with a couple friends. I was having a blast, but then we had to stop playing. I couldn't beat the game. I'm like, but I want to finish.
Right. I think Galaxy 1 has airships as well. They're not the same, but they're similar.
See, I've never... I own Galaxy. Or I did own Galaxy, but I never got very far because bad time in my life. But so like I'm missing so much of Mario. Where like to me this felt brand new because I haven't seen them since 3 because they weren't in Super Mario World 1 or 2 or 64.
And they still feel fresh, just like this varied. I like how they alternate between the 1 castles and the 3 airships.
Okay.
Just fun little callbacks, and it's fun to see which one you're going to get at the end of a world. And the auto-scrollers don't bother me in this game because the levels are so rich and the star coins are so fun to get. Mm-hmm. They really annoy me in World. Like, I like Super Mario World, but the auto-scrollers are just pain in the ass.
Right. I agree with you. They weren't bad in this game. Like, I'm not a big fan of auto-scrollers in general just because I want to, run around and do my thing. But I thought they were fine.
I want to go fast.
Well, I don't. Yeah, you're at the edge of the screen on the opposite end. I'm like, I think that like the Ludo narrative dissonance of like, there's nothing happening here. Like at least in like Wario Land 1, there was like a wall of lava coming at you. So you'd be like, okay, well I have to keep moving because there's a wall of lava coming. That made sense to me. But this is like, the screen's just going. All right, and then you'll die. Makes sense.
It wasn't. I never had too many problems. I mean, there were a few times where I had to book it, but for the most part, I was able to just play the game and not have to worry.
Yeah. It only fucked with me with the special coins sometimes. I'm like, I can't get this jump right.
Okay, some of the special coins are hard to get.
Yeah.
I mean, I went for most, but once I got to 290, there wasn't anything else I needed to unlock, so I just put the game down and walked.
Well,
and pretty close to all of them, right?
Well, it depends how many you get out of little boxes. I was getting a decent amount of little boxes, so that helped. But also, like, I just didn't. I was close, though. I had all 8 worlds were done. And I was into Special World 1 through 3 was completed, and I had a few other Special Worlds that weren't that far off from being completed. But because what I was doing, I got to the end, I got the World 8, and then Special World 8, and the game's like, okay, now that you unlock each level, you need to get 10 more star coins for each level. And I'm like, okay, I got 230. I need 60 more. I'm done with this game. I told you guys I'm done. I'm not playing anymore. It was fun
seeing you in the chat where you're just like, all right, I guess I'm finished here. I think I'm done with this game. And then a few years later, it's like, actually, I played more.
I couldn't help it.
Everything.
Well, one, it was the perfect game for me with save states to play while doing something else. Mm-hmm. So, like, I would do it while I was waiting for things to happen. I would do it when I was on the phone talking to my mother or something because it was just an easy game to, like, I keep my hands busy. Because I'm the kind of person that I have to multitask in life in general. Like, work, everything I do, I like to do more than one thing. Like one, it helps me with my job because of my job I'm talking to people and I'm typing while I'm talking and doing other tasks I might be behind on something else while I'm also talking to that person. And my brain just functions perfectly like that. So like for this game, it was perfect for me to have a podcast on, talk on the phone or do something else while playing it or doing it while I'm waiting for other things to happen. And I couldn't quit playing it. The reason why I was going to stop is because I have to play another game for the show, Doom 3. So I'm like, I gotta clock sticking. I'm like, you got to get on. But I just couldn't stop myself. I thought the star coins would be harder to get than they were, but they weren't that bad. Like you said, I mean, they are fun. And like, I used a guide for a little bit, but a lot of them I could just re-go through a level and just look a little better and figure it out what I was missing.
Yeah, I know my son is always like mind blown by my ability to sniff these things out, and I'm like, I've been playing this type of Nintendo level design for 30 something years. Yoshi's Island.
Learn.
Yeah, Yoshi's Island taught it that. Like I know where everything is now.
That
it wasn't
game
that bad.
Is not nice about it. Where it hides its collectibles. No. Not like this.
No, Yoshi's Island's hard. And also, is this the first game to bring back the Koopa? They're not Koopalings, but whatever the hell these Koopas are that are from Mario 3 that you fight in the castles.
And a Pom Pom? I want to say no.
Okay. You see, that's... Oh God, I need to play more Mario games.
I think.
I don't know where Pom Pom showed up.
I think there's like one Boom Boom in World, and there's one airship in World.
Well, this is before World. I mean, unless they were in Galaxy or if they were in... I mean, New Super Mario Brothers, I really, really need to play one day.
Those games throw me off because whenever I watch videos of them on YouTube, they look identical to the Wii U game. So I have a hard time telling which one's which.
There's a lot of them, too.
Yeah.
Some people say the Wii U one is the best Mario game. And I'm like, I like these level designs a lot. I don't love looking at this game.
I just hate the Wii U, too. I mean...
I like the Wii U.
I'm not a fan of Wii U.
Pom Pom's first appearance is 3D Land. That's where she was.
Okay, that's cool.
She's the girl Boom Boom.
That you fight them a lot, and you fight them in different ways, and you have one world where you fight. It's World 8. You fight both of them at the same time in a room. Like I thought it was a very cool idea.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you fight them. You fight both of them at the same time in the like true final level, the Crown 8.
Okay, that was a fuck you moment, but it was cool.
Yeah, do they have? When did you fight them? Because did you do Crown? You didn't get Crown 8, right? You didn't like get every flag as Luigi.
No, not at all.
Okay, so when do you fight them both at the same time?
You fight them in the original World 8 and before the special worlds. You definitely fight them. It's kind of broken up, though. There's like multiple levels. So Boom Boom can't get to the higher level, and then Pom Pom stays at the higher level where she does her little flying around. So you don't have to address both of them at the same time.
It's 7 airship.
Yeah.
Okay, and in Crown 8 you fight them like a little before the halfway point.
What is Crown 8 that you're mentioning? This is something I don't think I did.
So it's a level you unlock by beating every level as Mario and Luigi, both getting every star coin and reaching the top of every flagpole. And that unlocks another level in a Special 8.
Another world or no?
Just another level.
God. So you need to beat the game with every level with Mario and every level with Luigi?
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a big deal because I like just wanted to play this game more, and like I think it was like a month later.
You weren't
just like
playing for a podcast, so
no,
right?
But then like a month later, I'm just like, yeah, I'll play that again. Why not? And you know, like I'd pick up a level as Luigi every once in a while and like clean up the star coins I didn't get. Like it wasn't a grind, but it definitely.
He doesn't need to get his own star coin, does he?
No.
Okay, good.
No, it's not Donkey Kong 64. And I think 3D World, the sequel, does a similar thing where you, in order to get to the final level, you have to beat everything with every character, or at least the 4-4.
I've heard that a lot. I unlocked. Is this Champions Road? Is that the level? Because
maybe I
didn't need to do that, but this was also the Switch version.
Okay.
So maybe they changed it there, but I definitely got to Champions Road. Didn't beat it. I did beat Crown 8 this time. I had beaten it with Mario a few months ago and kind of gave up on doing it with Luigi and did it this time. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this. And then, like Mike, a few hours later, I text the chat. I'm like, hey, I did it.
I mean, but that's also kind of the joy of this game, is that this game doesn't like you lose a lot. I mean, you can die a lot because, you know, it's a Mario platformer, but like it doesn't make you feel, I mean, I play the safe state, it's a little different, but I feel like it doesn't make you feel like you're an idiot or that it's impossible. You just got to try again. I mean, Crown 8, I'm watching it right now. This looks a little hard, but like I could see you learning it as time progresses.
Yeah, it's not as bad as the other Mario final levels. It's like maybe as hard as Star Road and World, but like Grandmaster Galaxy and Galaxy 2, way harder. Champions Road, way harder.
I've seen Champions Road.
Can we talk about completion of this game? Because I think it's really interesting, and like we all beat this game and like decided what we wanted out of it and stopped. And I think the game's really designed for that.
Yeah, it is.
So, and Mario in general, because like starting with World, you can beat Bowser, which is great. Go for it. Or you can find Star Road, which is like the next tier up of completion. Mm-hmm. Or then you can get all 96 exits. You know, like Super Mario 64, you can beat Bowser, get the 3 keys, or get 120 stars. Even with Odyssey, it's like you can reach credits, you can finish like the final level, Darker Side, which is like half the moons, or you can get all the moons.
Right.
It's just like they always have.
Introduces new stars, like it doubles the amount of stars in the game after the
first. I liked that. Like at first I think I thought it was stupid, but for me, I'm always like, if I get credits, I beat a game. So it just depends on my mood with the game, if I want more or not. I mean, sometimes when I get credits, game's over. I don't care what else you have to offer. I don't want to touch you again. But like with this game, like, you know, I mean, I came into this, I was only going to do World 1 through 8 and then turn the game off, but I kept playing. And then, like, Vincent, you went on to World, Special 3, I think it was?
I got to Special 3, which is as far as I got in my original run as well.
But that's enough. Like, you saw enough of the game.
I think so. Yeah. I don't feel like I beat all of it, because at the same time, like, I think, like, these levels and these special worlds aren't just, like, one extra level or one bonus level. Like, the Grandmaster or whatever, Champions Road, I put those in a different category. And like Special World, I'm like, of Mario World, I'm like, that's elite level stuff that I have to like go and unlock. That's like playing the other 2 level difficulties in GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. Like I beat the game, but at the same time, it's like you rolled credits, but there's also like twice as many levels in the campaign. I'm like, I don't think I really beat it the same way. Like I think like 3D World has 3 extra worlds. this has 8 extra worlds, but they are like remixes at the same
They
time.
are really remixes, though.
Yeah.
So
and 3D World has just the one world, which is remixes, which I appreciated because, more levels are good.
yeah, I think Special 2 didn't have a boss in it. Like whenever you beat that world, I think you beat the castle or the airship or whatever it was, and you just go through a pipe. It's like there was no Pom Pom, there was no Bowser. You're at the end like, okay, cool, this doesn't count then. Okay, it's not the same. And my brain was like, this is all bonus material now. That's where my brain
Nice.
managed to make
It is all bonus material. I mean again, like we were saying, like Mario does a good job of that. Like, okay, here's your point. If you beat the game, you did enough. You can put the game down. You can say you did it. You can move on. Like
what do you want out of this?
Yeah, I mean, like I didn't expect to keep playing this. I just didn't really want to stop, and it was weird. Yeah. Also, I didn't want to play Doom 3. I think played a big part of that too.
Yeah. What if it's called Doom 3D Land?
I play Doom 3D Land.
Okay, I mean Doom 3. It's just, I'll get there next week. But yeah, like I hate horror games.
Yeah.
As I said on the show,
genuinely scary.
The opening of that game,
September. What are you doing?
Is a straight up horror game. I mean, it doesn't feel that way as I got far, but that opening is straight up horror. Like I don't care what anybody says. I don't care if someone's like, no, that's not a horror game. It's a horror game when it starts.
It's absolutely a horror game, just like Luigi's Mansion. But back to 3D Land and completion. Like I imagine you're that old lady in an office and you're having trouble with even the basic jumps and figuring this out. Like reaching credits is going to feel like a big deal, and they don't talk down to you at all. It's like they say, "Hey, here's more of this game if you want it," but like you did it. Congrats.
It doesn't say now beat it on hard mode, baby.
Yeah, and of course that old lady, is now the best Mario player in the world, and did beat the Grandmaster Galaxy and Crown 8 and Champions Road and Darker Side and all of this. But she had to get there, and I think this was encouraging.
I also want to say that I'm happy that the Shadow Clone of Mario isn't until the Special World, because I fucking hate the Shadow Clone. Like it adds a level of tension that I don't like. I mean, I get it; it's a cool mechanic that everywhere you can't go backwards exactly because
it's intense.
Yeah, but I don't like it. I mean, I also, as I've said in the show before, I don't like things chasing me like that. I don't like Mr. X and RE2 Remake. I don't like where I'm being chased by something. I just do not care for that. That's a me thing.
This is not quite a tangent, but has anyone else here played Celeste?
I played World 1 of it, or World A or something, whatever.
Well, so Celeste is like filled with Mario references. It's like an extremely Mario game. And they have the Shadow Clones. And that's
a precision platformer. I don't like that.
I really want to play it one day, though.
It is my favorite game of like the last 20 years.
It's also
I think it's incredible.
It's also a game where you can beat it without doing everything, right? Like you can beat it.
Yeah, it's also really, really good at that. But the Shadow Clone kind of like becomes a character, almost representing the main character's anxiety, and she like learns to deal with it in different ways than just running from it, and it becomes this symbol that's morphed over the course of the game. And it's like, here it is. Like even going back to the Galaxy and 3D Land games, just like, oh, this is where the mechanic came from, and it like feels so much more special to me going back to it.
That's cool. I know I should play Celeste one day. So now you got my attention a little bit more to maybe you want to play it.
So, Mike, there is a mod that has save states for it.
I mean, it looks like it's quick levels where I might not need it.
Yeah, and you die quickly. It's one of those, like, you died 100-something times on this level, but like it just resets you back to like the beginning.
I can handle that because after a while I will learn, or I will get angry, walk away. But yeah, the mod with save states might get my, help me with some stuff. But I can do. I beat Hollow Knight. Like that's a hard ass game, and I beat that game.
I gotta play that.
It's a really fucking good game. Also, go listen to the episode too, but not after you play the game. But that's another great game. But
do give Mike a download right now. Do it.
Please do.
We're all multitaskers. Go while you're listening to this. Go download the Hollow Knight episode all previous 191 episodes of Game.
Hey, somebody did. Somebody recently went and there's more. There's 74 episodes or so out at the moment. Somebody actually went and downloaded almost our whole catalog, and one of them was my friend. He's like, "Yeah, I wouldn't get caught up on your show." I'm like, "Thank you. You gave us 300 some downloads for the day," and I'm like, "What the fuck happened?" And 11111, and I'm like, "Man, I love the fact that we have a giant catalog. I love the fact that I just record everything." So
yeah,
that's my.
Hey, listener, go check out some of my friends read comics. It's got this guy Vincent Goodwin on it. It's pretty good. Go check that out too, or just download. I don't care if you listen to it. Just download it. But Daniel, back to your point though, I think also about like the completion, I think it also is because World 8 has a great final level. And I think a final boss fight that's super satisfying. And I think this is where Mario boss fights like figured it out for me. And 3D World does it better, the sequel. But this one is like Bowser is there and he's shooting fireballs at you. But it's a platforming challenge, not a hit bonk the boss on the head three times challenge. It's not like tricky, it's not Bowser in a bathtub challenge. It's him, it's jumping through these ways. And I mean, the aesthetic could be just Bullet Bill shooting fireballs at you or something like that. But the fact that like Bowser's like keeps jumping similarly to like scare you and follow you along on the level somehow makes it feel like I'm fighting a boss when I'm really just doing an epic platforming challenge. And then it's so satisfying.
And it's also, it's the same boss fight as the Mario 1 boss fights where like you get to the end of the bridge and you get the axe or hit the button. Like it's the same thing, but it's like blown out into this huge cinematic confrontation. Yeah. It's so cool. And this game has such a love for the Mario franchise. Like we're talking about all these elements we hadn't seen for a while that are just showing up more polished and like more charming than ever.
This was Boom Boom's first time in 3D, by the way. I looked that up.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Previously, all he did was in 3D land. He just walked left and right and kind of jumped. Now he's in a 3D space.
And I guess he wasn't in World either.
Yeah.
I think there was a World ROM hack I played that had him.
He might be also in like one of the Game Boy Advance games or something, like in one of those kind of weird ways. So
I hope someday this game emulates better, or 3D World emulates better, to the point that we get Kaizo 3D Land. I would love
that. Would be cool.
Speaking of, have you played, I talked to Mike about this, Super Mario 64 Land. It's a ROM hack of Mario 64 that makes them levels like this, but with the Mario 64 moveset, which sounds really, really cool.
Yo, that's actually pretty big, this game's moveset, because I think it's one of the, like, it's really different from the other 3D Mario games, and I think in really telling ways.
Right. I didn't even know you could do that, like, extra jump thing where you hold down and you crouch. Like, I didn't find that out until I was trying to get Star Coin. The guy's like, oh, yeah, do the super jump. I'm like, what?
that got deleted from a couple Mario games. I don't think it's in Galaxy 1, weirdly, but it got deleted from a Mario game or two. No,
if you hold down, jump while you're crouching.
You know what I'm talking about? I think you hold
I thought that was a backflip.
No, not the
there's also the backflip, but it's in this game you can just hold down and he'll jump higher in general.
Yeah, if you kind of are like kind of slightly running and then crouch, and then while you're kind of skidding, you then release and jump. You'll do like a long jump. It's definitely
the long jump. Yeah. I do the long jump a lot. The long jump.
You can also do it.
It's in Galaxy. It's not in Sunshine.
Standing in place too.
Okay.
You don't have to run. You can also do it where you just jump up higher. I had to do it for a couple star coins.
That's the backflip.
Did he backflip in it? I mean, because I also would do a backflip just by like doing the backflip in 64. Like I would do the same thing in this game.
Never
once in a
did
while.
the backflip in this game. That makes more sense why I missed some stuff.
Or do you mean the side flip? I'm booting it up right now. This will all be cut out, right?
This is
maybe
like
not.
Us on the playground, like, no, bro, you can do this. What are you doing? No, I've always skidded and long jumped. I've never done it from prone.
Yeah, I used to do it from standing. Like I had fun with. I mean, I did have fun with the controls of this game. I felt the controls were very stable. I really liked the way it handles. I mean, I had this Tanooki suit 99% of the time if I could help it, just because it makes everything easy. I like to be able to hover and not die. Plus, I can save state and low whenever I feel like it, so I could just keep myself to not get hit.
So, Mike, the 3D actually really helps judging jumps. I
figured
think that might have been part of what you were running into.
I also can't play 3D. Even on 3DS, I cannot have the 3D on. It bothers me. It bothers my eyes.
Yeah, it's very imperfect.
It bothers my eyes. It's a little better on the new, which I hadn't played this game since I got the new 3DS.
I have the new
little better. Still don't have a new 3DS.
I have a new 3D. I just don't like 3D in general. I don't like 3D movies. I don't like 3D anything. That's a me thing though. That's not the game's fault or anything. But yeah, no, I completely can believe that it looks a lot better in 3D, easier, because I had a really hard time judging at times, and I had to really look at the shadow of Mario to figure out where I was missing some basic jumps at one point because I just couldn't. Like, I would just run off the edge because I thought, okay, this is where I jump. Nope, you're off by a little bit.
There was definitely a few, like there was like a rolling thing in lava that I had to like jump onto another platform, and I misjudged that like 4 or 5 times.
I mean, but I'm playing on emulator, so like I always I always give the game a little bit of leeway because, again, I'm not playing it the way that it's intended, so I never want to fault a game for me playing on unlicensed hardware. I can't do that to a game. But no, so I completely that completely makes sense. I mean, I knew it was me problem, not the game being dumb.
I do think though that you got a slight benefit because the one thing I don't like about the controls of this game is I don't like the 3DS's like circle pad.
Yeah, it's not great.
It slips too much for me when I'm trying to do like precision platforming. It just doesn't feel right. I may have worn it down. Like my grip on it is not super strong on it. Daniel, I don't know how you did it.
Stick.
I don't know how it's not analog. Also, you have to hold the Y button to even run. It doesn't know to tiptoe the way like Mario 64 did. But I don't know how you like were exercise biking on this. My fingers would be so sweaty. I'd be slipping all over the place, dude.
I play my 3DS a lot on the exercise bike. That's just what I do.
That's impressive.
That's good though. I mean, you found a way to exercise and enjoy gaming. Like I need to do that.
Mm-hmm. Dragon Quest. That's the other series. Like just chilling with Dragon Quest but so the moveset, it's similar to 64's, but the jumps you're doing don't make much of a difference. Like the long jump moves you a little further and a little faster, but like not as much as if a normal jump with a Tanooki suit. The backflip and side flip, you're going to get a little more use out of those, but you never need to use them.
Mm-hmm.
So just letting the levels speak for themselves as opposed to having this movement system you can master like all the other 3D Marios did is, I think, honestly one of the biggest things that set it apart from the earlier 3D games and make it feel like one of the 2D games.
It really does feel like a 2D game, even though it's 3D, just because the fact that it's not open world like that type of stuff, and it's very just small scale.
You'll play Bowser's Fury?
No, I didn't get a chance to play it. My son, I have this problem where if like a new game comes out and then my son hogs the controller for like the game for like a week, then I forget it exists. I'm not part of the zeitgeist, so I never played much of Bowser's Fury.
It's good, but it's weird because it's in the seamless, like quote unquote open world, but all the levels are still basically linear Mario levels that you just.
They look a lot like Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean it's the 3D World engine.
Yeah,
and it's still obsessed with cats, but. I don't know.
I love the power-ups. I love the power-up system in that game, though, because you have like you're holding on to like max like 5 power-ups, so you can just constantly be switching in between. Like, okay, I want cat, and if I get hit, I'll just like push the button and like drop another cat thing, so I can get back to that power. It's really really cool. I love the power-up system.
I love 3D World. I can't wait to replay it for this show.
Dude, it's so good. It's so good.
But I have a hate relationship when it comes to Nintendo. That's part of my problem. Love-hate relationship when it comes to like their pricing. So I don't buy a lot of their games when I try to wait a while, and they're hard to wait because they don't. I mean, after a while, once I wait 2 years, I am not paying $60 for your game anymore. Like we're done. Like you need to lower it, or I'll pirate it someday.
But theirs go out of print also physically, and then they only have them digitally, and they don't drop the price lower than $40.
I know. Like that's one of my problems with Nintendo games in general. I just don't like that fact.
I hate that too, especially like porting a Wii U game. Like, come on, don't have that full price. But there's also almost a relief to like, I feel really bad buying a new release at full price. But if it's a Nintendo game and I'm excited for a first party, it's like, yeah, I'll get this eventually. I'll never get this at a cheaper price. I'll like play it and be in the zeitgeist. There's like almost.
Nintendo's the only one that I will buy for that kind of like for full price, but I don't like to do it. I just do it.
I don't either. And we're falling for it. Like, that's what that's for.
Well, I kind of know. I want to play Xenoblade 2 to get on board for Xenoblade 3, and I'm like, I'm not paying $60 for a 5-year-old game.
I gotta buy Metroid Dread for this show because I'm doing it in December, and I'm hoping that by now in December I will find a deal for $30.
Yeah,
well, that's not a first party game. So maybe.
Metroid Dread.
Yeah, that's.
But it's Nintendo published. They're not going to drop it the way like the Mario and Rabbids drop. It's still not going to go. I think I'm looking at like Fire Emblem Warriors is going to like maybe be $40. I don't think you're going to find it for maybe $35 if you're lucky, Mike.
I know that. I mean, I'm going to just buy it. I mean, I already put it on the show. I already have guests. It's locked in. So I told my wife, "Well, you want to buy me a game for my birthday? Here, buy that. I need it, and I don't want to buy it." So
it's £40. It's £40 on Amazon.uk.
Yeah, but shipping, I'm sure, wouldn't be nice. Plus, I forget what the pounds variation.
It's not great anymore. It's not 2-to-1 like it used to be.
Yeah, $52 new in the US.
I'm just gonna break
That's
down
a good
and buy
game.
it soon.
That's a really good video game.
No, I know. I just it's more of like when you, especially when I was open up to the world of Steam and the greatness of Steam. and like how everything is cheap. It's always been hard for me to pay more than $10 or $20 for a game with like my cap. I just don't, because I my whole thing is I love to buy hundreds of games, have a giant library of games, and just get to them when I get to them. And when you're spending $60 on a game, nothing feels worse than sitting on it for 3 years and go, oh, hey, look, now it's $10. You still have yet to play it.
Yeah.
Right. I found this site, Games Planet, which sells Steam keys. They're not a sponsor, but their wish list is the coolest wish list I've ever seen. Like they have a wish list tell me when it's this price or lower. So I threw like that Spider-Man PS4
what
game.
What site is this?
Now Games Planet.
I don't know this one.
Yeah, they sell Steam keys. So I've been buying because I just got my Steam Deck. I've been buying a lot of shit for that. But like the Spider-Man PS4 game that I already own, but now it's on PC. I'm not paying $60 for it. And I said, tell me when it's 20. And they'll bother me when it's $20. Before that, they're not gonna tell me.
Do they have budget sales and stuff?
Not kinda sometimes.
Okay. You have my attention. Thank you. You opened me to my wallet. Might not thank you, but you opened me to a new world. I go on Fanatical and stuff.
I bought Disney Infinity 3 on there. The entire thing, every character unlocked, all the play sets for $6.
That's the right price.
That is the right price. I spent hundreds of dollars on that, but
it's fun looking through. It's fun looking through the ludography of like every big name in Nintendo. So I'm looking at Hayashida's wiki now, and it's like, okay, he did some art on the NES and GameCube. He directed the Galaxy games in 3D World and Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, and then he's like been a producer, then like production support, and it's just like, oh yeah, that's how it goes in Nintendo. You work hard for 10 years, and then you just like go to executive heaven and sit in your office and get paid a lot.
Yeah, I think like the Nintendo narrative made you think like, oh, Miyamoto did everything, and they're like, no, there's all these dudes that like have been like. They've been like, they're old timers. They've been there since the beginning, and they all been there. And yeah, and
they talk to Miyamoto a lot. But I think the last game Miyamoto directed is Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, I think so. Because like the EAD group, or however they were formed, was their first game that I think was proper was Jungle Beat, and they moved into the Galaxy games.
Yep,
and they put like
and that's how
they put the and they put the A team on 3D Land. They didn't, even though it was the portable system, they put an A team on this game. Which I was really excited about.
It's like the big new 3D Mario. People kind of don't talk about the 3D Land, 3D World games in that way. Like people kind of just skip over. I think they're amazing. Like I like 3D. I like 3D Land and 3D World just as much as Odyssey, and like I love Odyssey, but they're like on the same level for me.
Yeah, I mean, part of it's being like trapped on the Wii U, and people just want to shit on it. People always want to like watch Nintendo fail a little. But man, 3D Land and 3D World, if that had been the 2-pack without Bowser's Fury, I would have been stoked for that.
Bowser's Fury is real good though.
It is. At least they put Bowser's Fury on it. The way we were talking about pricing, like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, the Wii U port was $50 on Wii U and $60 on Switch, and they gave it away free when like Club Nintendo went away for Wii U.
And didn't they take it off the Wii U digital store when they released the Wii version?
I think they did.
So scummy.
And then added $10 to the price. Yeah.
You shouldn't be. None of us should be surprised. So,
but around this time is also when they were doing all the new Super Mario Brothers stuff, which were obviously super popular. But I think a lot of Mario fans kind of started tearing the big releases, where it's like, okay, Galaxy's the real stuff, and New Super Mario Brothers I can kind of ignore. It's like for a different audience, and didn't really know where 3D Land landed, because it really is something new, even though the component parts are so much to the older Mario games.
Right. It's wild though, because like I think like the new Wii game, the 2D platformer sold astonishingly well compared to the 3D games that we consider like the real games.
Yeah.
It's like all of us like, and probably your listening audience, like, well, okay, new DS is fine, but who cares? It's really like Galaxy's where it's at. That's the real game. But like new DS and new Wii sold like incredible amounts. And I think that like 3D Land like splits the difference. Like it's still linear. It's still got the flagpoles to try it, because I think it's just easier to grok than Galaxy, and especially like Sunshine for a wider audience.
It is, and I think Nintendo identified correctly that a lot of people on the Wii had fallen off video games, and like a lot of those people had played 2D platformers when they were younger, and it's just like, hey, here's a game for you. Here's a game you can understand. And
once we have more than 2 face buttons,
cool.
we're out.
Yeah, you do have to like shake the Wiimote to do the springy thing with the squirrel. Ugh.
We started with that. Oh, one thing we hadn't talked about
good.
yet. Also, I learned something new while we've been recording. That, well, one, if you die, I think it's 5 times or 6 times, you get a gold Tanooki suit.
That was made for the old lady.
Yep.
And if you die more than that, I didn't know you can get a P-wing block.
Oh, really?
I was watching a speedrun, and that's what he did for the last level, because I guess it was quicker to die than to play through the level, so he just keeps dying until he gets the P-wing.
That makes sense.
Girl.
Yeah, you can skip, and the P-wing block in this one doesn't
Mario 3 reference.
It just skips the level and takes you right to the flagpole, and you just beat the level. So you can just completely skip a level that you can't play.
You don't have to like float over it like fakely like you do in Mario Brothers 3?
I actually got one P-wing in this game as a secret item when I was doing one of those mystery boxes. It just gave me a P-wing. I'm like, what the hell? P-wings are in this game? And I saved it. I was all excited to use it. I'm like, oh, do I get to fly? And they're like, you can warp to the flagpole. I'm like, well, I need star coins, buddy. Like, sure, I'll beat a level just because it was a special world, 7 or 8, so I didn't really care. But I was like, okay, this is a cool. I'm glad that it exists.
I'm glad it exists too. Except if it happens even once, and I think it happened twice to me because I was just screwing around in a level. The stars, so you get like different stars on your save file. It's like. One's like beat World 8, 2 is beat World S8, 3 is get all the flags, 3 is star coins, 5's Luigi. Okay. But they sparkle if you haven't ever got a P-wing, and if you get even one, they'll never sparkle. And I wasn't sure, but I looked at mine today, and it's just bland white, 5 stars.
Yeah, they know what you did. They know what you did.
I mean, that's. I mean, I get that, but that's stupid if you're someone that's going for like the completionist guy would probably be like, oh nope, I can't. I gotta have the sparkle stars.
That is literally what happens in the completionist episode. He starts over because of that.
Yeah, I believe
he's crazy though.
Yes.
Yeah, he's crazy though.
And the thing is open about it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like literally like I could not as a child beat Vanilla Castle 3, World 3 Castle, and Mario World. Could not beat it to save my life. I actually ended up doing the Star Road and the Butter Bridge just to get around it, like obscenely hard levels compared to the Vanilla Castle because I could not beat it. So as a child, so I at least like that. This is a way to say this one level's hard. You're not locked out of the rest of the game.
Yeah, and it's nice that they did that in Galaxy 2, and I think Wii U. They like have someone show you how to do it. Like they have like a little ghost appear and be like, do this, and then Wii U they'll just do it for you, which is almost condescending. So this is fine. It's just I take it so little personally that they do this thing with the stars. I have the game developer or Gamasutra quote up. Can I read what he says about the stars because he talks about it? I guess I would have to say that in my experience, I've seen hardcore gamers who try to play the game so that they never let the assist block appear at all, as if that was their goal. You may have noticed that you have these stars appear next to your save file, and you can get from 1 to 5. If you play so you never make an assist block appear, then you'll have 5 stars that are sparkling. And I would like to engender this mentality that if you can't do that, you can't call yourself an advanced player. Like, it is designed specifically to annoy me in the exact way it's annoying me. And I kind of love that, but also...
Yeah, no, thank you. That's a little too much. Oh, another thing that I want to point out is that you only need 100 star coins to get to the final castle in this game. I think we might have touched on it briefly, but I want to go more onto it. When you get to what you think is the final castle, you see a cardboard cutout of Peach, and then you have to go do another level and then a castle again.
And it's fun because it's kind of hard to tell it's a cardboard cutout unless you have the 3D on. And if you do, it's just like, that doesn't look right. Which is a joke funny. They pull a few times and it never gets old.
And then you have like so I don't know, I want to say that the last level, and I touched on this briefly earlier, but I'm going to bring it up again. So like when I beat the game the original way, did all 8 worlds, fight Bowser, did that, rescue Peach. Then I went through all the special worlds, and then I did it again because after you beat the special world, you get a letter saying that Peach is still captured. But this time the Toads are wearing all Tanooki suits. And I think the fight was a little bit different. I think the flames are purple instead of blue, but I don't know if I'm hallucinating or if that was true, or if I just didn't remember right.
I mean, that sounds... I don't remember exactly, but that sounds like something Mario would do. It's like when you get 120 stars in 64, you go to the Penguin, and it's just huge now.
Right.
Okay.
It's just like here's a weird little joke / reward that's not really a reward.
Check it on this video.
It's in Mario World. Like some people start wearing masks and stuff.
Yeah, it's the Halloween, and the Goombas are like wearing Halloween Mario masks.
Because I swear it was purple.
Good.
I mean, I know I'm not swear it was purple in the end when I did it, but I feel like it was blue the first time you do it.
Which is hotter? Purple's hotter. Right? No, purple's a little less hot, right?
Purple looked a lot more evil. I can say that. How about that?
No, it might be because purple's to the left on the spectrum of blue. It might be hotter.
Color heat. I'm looking at it.
Okay.
Color heat map.
I swear it was blue the first time and it was purple the second time, but again, this was over the course of like a week of me not stopping playing this damn game. So
I think you're probably right.
Okay. It was just a cool thing, like, because the game like told me go do it again. I feel and I do know for a fact that when I beat it the second time, I got pictures I didn't get the first time. Like you get a picture of Peach in a Tanooki suit. And I thought for a second, I'm like, is this game gonna let me play as Peach too? I'm like, I'm not gonna do it, but that would be really fucking cool. No, the game's
with the little float jump. Yeah, that'd be awesome. I do love at the end of like the core game when you beat World 8 and you like save the princess and everybody's happy. And then and you're like, Yahoo! And then it cuts to Luigi still in prison. And I'm like, that's a really good cut. That's a really cool. It's like, that's so and you get him really quickly, but I'm like,
Special World 1, I think you save him, which I thought was cool because I know when I played this on the 3DS, he never got rescued. He's still in prison. So
or Luigi.
I just was dumb.
God, Chew. This has nothing to do with anything.
Sure,
but I'm going to say it anyway. In Galaxy, you rescue Luigi at one point. There's like a Luigi's Mansion themed level, and it like starts a side quest thing where he finds a few stars, and it's cute. Once you beat Galaxy, you can play it again as Luigi, and instead of having you save Mario, you save Luigi, and he just like takes it in stride. He's just like, the Galaxy is a big place. It makes sense there'd be someone who looks exactly like me out there. And blue flames are the hottest flame.
Okay. I don't know that. All right. Maybe I think it had to be different color. Maybe they were bigger too. I don't know. I mean, yes, I could find out in 10 seconds by Googling. I just don't care enough. So
I'm pretty sure that's the case. It's just if the flames were purple, they were less hot.
Okay. No, I mean, like, I think it did change colors. Like, I think
I believe you that all I'm saying is if it's purple, it was like a cooler flame.
Or you could join the Games My Mom Found Patreon and comment on the post and
that works too. Or Discord. Hey, however you want.
Yeah, pay money to tell Mike how he's wrong. Do that.
Please. Hey, I'll take it. You can also vote too. There's a Patreon poll. Go vote.
Mike's never
two polls this month. It's a special month. I have 2 polls.
Ooh.
2 polls.
What's the better poll?
One's a top 10 poll. One's a movie poll. So it just depends on what but yeah, please vote. I mean, you vote for both. You get to affect what I do for the show. And the more people that vote, the more I know kind of what will win ahead of time so I can start planning ahead of time. So the better.
Speaking of 3D, I'm seeing Jaws for the first time, and it's playing in 3D. And I was like, I don't know if I want to see this in 3D for the first time. I want to see it in the theater. But a like big movie friend of mine was like, no, this looks amazing. Like 3D is good cool now, and it really works for this movie. I'm like, all right.
Like original Jaws?
Yeah.
Jaws 3D.
I know you're talking about, Vincent.
No,
I don't think anybody went to the trouble of making Jaws 3D good.
The one from the Ready Player One guy.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I see what you're saying.
All right, any last things you guys want to say about Mario before we go on to questions, comments, or memories? I got a few. Not a ton, but I got a few.
I just like this game a lot. Like this is a game I replay like every 2 or 3 years since it came out, which I guess only means 3 or 4 times. It's not that old. But
no,
I just like it more and more, and it's really quietly become one of my favorite Mario games. And I think people kind of forgot about it. So if you haven't played it, like, and you just want some good ass Mario, like, go play it. This game's awesome.
I think we had a question. We had a question in the chat. Like, it's like, do you think this game will ever be re-released, or is it lost to time?
I do.
I'm trying to think. Like, I think it absolutely would work. Like, you don't need the touchscreen elements. You need the 3D elements a bit, but not really. Like, I would love to see this back in some capacity, but I don't know how it would happen. I'm just trying to. Like, if it didn't come with 3D World, is it not? I mean, unless they make a Galaxy 2 3D Land pack, I don't know when it would come.
So I can definitely see Nintendo not re-releasing this game because the 3D is kind of core to some of what it's doing. And even if it's not a big deal, like, this would be perfectly playable without the stereoscopic 3D, as Mike could attest to.
Yeah, no, I had no problem. But Nintendo, if something doesn't play perfectly, they won't re-release it.
Right.
Super Mario 64 DS would say otherwise, but
well,
yeah,
that was the GameCube bombed, and that was a dark time for Nintendo. Yeah, if it doesn't play perfectly, I think that is compromising the brand for Nintendo. So I don't know. Maybe we get a VR re-release along with the Virtual Boy Classic.
Yeah.
I think you can play this just fine though without it. Like, you don't need that.
Yeah, but I don't think it's just fine by Nintendo's sometimes unreasonable standards.
Okay, that's a very fair statement. I mean, I get it. Like, you don't want to hurt the brand. I mean, Nintendo's the one that won't re-release things. It won't let anything exist because it could hurt the brand if they don't approve completely. Like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Nintendo.
I think a lot of their business decisions really rub me the wrong way. Yeah. But gotta say that Mario
were great in this era. I think most of their Wii U games they made and 3DS games they made from I would say 2011 to 2014, 2015, great across the board. Everything Nintendo made themselves, great.
Gotta say that Mario 35 though was not good enough to be up for more than a few months. Like, they almost made the right decision there from a game preservation standpoint. I'm just like, no, absolutely, this should be up. But that game was up for exactly as long as it deserved, and I think it was designed for that.
Right.
I still got a problem with that. All right, and I got a few questions she didn't say questions. They're not even questions anymore. They're just comments or memories. First from I watched the entire OLED Super Replay group. From Nabil Azui. I didn't know what to expect when I bought it in 2017, but I really enjoyed 100%ing it. All right. Awesome. From Kevin Blant. One of my favorite Mario games, which I honestly didn't expect going into it. The level design is pretty great, and the game controls extremely well. My wife doesn't particularly care for games, but even she loved playing this. That's something that makes this game, stuff like Mario games great, is that even if you don't really care for games, you can still enjoy a Mario game.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's got to be said. From William Izari. Yes.
Sorry, I just want to comment on that. It's really easy to forget, as someone who's into video games, that not everyone is. And a lot of the design decisions, especially in the Mario games, aren't aimed at us. And stuff like the assist block, the Tanooki leaf, make this accessible for that wider audience. And I really value that Mario never loses sight of that.
Right. And I think that gets to my point of I just know going in to write off the first two worlds of a Mario game that I'm not going to find them interesting. That doesn't mean they're bad. They're not for me. It's where it starts getting more interesting. And this game does a great job because the special world is where I want to be playing the Mario games. That's where it's interesting to me. And I'm glad that Nintendo manages to cater to both audiences that way, to know hey, we've really got to onboard people. That's not bad. It's not mediocre. It's not milquetoast. It's a lot of people know that Mario is the gold standard, and our new may be coming in. This is their first Mario game,
and it annoys me when it's done with endless tutorials. And it's cool that they found a way not to do that here.
Agreed. All right, and from William Izari, a game that is too easy for its own good. You need to slog through a whole game worth of baby's first platform to get to the good stuff. I completely disagree with you, sir.
I get that, but also it's
we just had this conversation.
I know.
It's really easy though. I didn't say what I did is I would put the kids in bath time. Bath time's 15 to 20 minutes. I could beat a world in 15 to 20 minutes. It's not. And I would say I think World 7's where it really turned up. I'm oh my gosh, it had the saw blades level where it was taking out the blocks and stuff. And that's when the game started being yes, absolutely, 100%.
I like easy games, so.
And if you don't want baby Mario games, go play Mario Maker because people who make those levels are fucking insane.
We're getting into Kaizo. Kaizo rules.
I won't play Kaizo. But from Autumn Sevier, one of the few Mario games I actually beaten was a pretty fun one. And I got two more from this group. From Kenny Stoles, probably the first Mario game I really loved, as I don't care for the 2D series at all. And the 3D games have always been a good time, but not amazing to me. Turns out combining the two is my jam. I got 5 shiny stars when it came out, and again when I replayed it a couple years ago. I also love 3D World, but never did the shiny stars for it. I would have if I didn't have to beat each level 5 times with each character. I also don't have any friends, so I had to do it 5 times each or do the dummy player's trick, which I tried to do, but it's hard to get it done that way. I have no idea what the dummy player's trick is. I'm curious.
I don't either. I believe it exists.
Okay. From Ken Pittman, how well do you think it accomplished to taking the 2D design of platformers and making a 3D world compared to how Crash Bandicoot took 2D design stages and made it 3D?
I think it does it really well. Yeah, I mean, I didn't realize until like reading later. Like, I think you said this, Mike. I don't know if you were here. Where it's like it's Crash Bandicoot. It's Crash Bandicoot-ification of Mario. And then I tried to play Crash Bandicoot after I played this. And I'm like, this is. But I'm also a Nintendo fanboy, and anything that like it's like Sonic sucks, Crash sucks, Mario rules, everybody else sucks. So I'll take that as my bias. But I did not like Crash 2 compared to this.
Don't compare Sonic to Crash. They're not the same league. Those early Sonic games are so good. Crash is really Crash is really just a 2D platformer put into 3D, right. And they do it in some pretty interesting ways, and it was pretty hard to do on the PS1, but I mean that's what it's doing. And sure, like, you could compare this to Crash Bandicoot, but I think it's really clearly like, how do we take what Mario was and put it in 3D? Yeah. And I think they absolutely nail it.
I think they did a great job with it. I think the only problem with I think we stated already is like the raccoon suit gets nerfed because you can't fully fly with it.
Yeah, but that's also a problem you get from comparing Kirby, it to other stuff, you know?
Yeah, Kirby has that with the new Kirby 3D game. Like, he can't fly, really.
Oh, yeah, he does. It's just kind of irritating.
That new Kirby can't fly? That's Kirby.
He can just float, but he can't just, like, fucking take off the way he can in the 2D games.
Oh, okay. I haven't played a Kirby game in a long time.
They're really
good now. They're like better than they've ever been.
I just haven't got around. I mean, how many games?
Triple Deluxe, the first 3DS game. Like, since then, with Robobot and Star Allies on Switch, and then this new one, Forgotten Kingdom, I think is what's called, have all been stellar. Yeah.
Robobot is my favorite Kirby game. It's so cool. They gave Kirby a mech.
I know. I might do it for the show next season, but we'll see if that happens.
If you liked Odyssey is very similar to Kirby because it's a lot of like transformation powers. Mario transforms into something that then allows him to do other things like Wario Land or Kirby. Okay. Yeah, if you like those, the new Kirby games, just starting like with 3DS and on, any of them is pretty darn good. Robobot being the one that Daniel likes. I liked Triple Deluxe a lot.
Okay. I played Triple Deluxe earlier this year and loved it. Like, great game. No issue with that game.
All right. And from the only other group that commented, from Giant Bomb, I have a few comments. First, from Alan Clark, 3D World's the best Mario this side of Galaxy. 3D Land might be second.
That's fair. I think 3D World is a smidge better.
I love 3D World when I played. I'm really excited to replay it for the show. I also played 3D World before I played 3D Land, which affected my thinking of it at the time. And it also was like very shortly after. Yeah.
The question of like what my favorite Mario game is impossible now because there are so many Mario games I think do what they're doing perfectly. So I just like list 4 or 5 games when people ask me what my favorite Mario game is now. And this is one of them.
Okay, and from Chris Murray, I think this is one of the few Mario games I finished to a degree. Also, my favorite memory was when I was on the last level while on a plane, the stewardess would not leave me alone. I know I could have paused it, but I didn't want to lose my rhythm. That lady would not give up until I looked her in the eye and said, I did not want to open a credit card and went back to my game. She was not asking if I wanted to open a credit card. From Cameron Falkenberg, I adore that game. It's still one of my favorite Mario games. And last comment to read from Dave Ryzek. Is this one the Mario that gets mad at you for not collecting all the red or dragon coins and gates level progress? That's my least favorite thing about some of the newer Marios. I have no problem collecting stars /shines /moons though. I mean, all Mario games kind of do that. I think, right?
This one's gating is pretty gentle though. Like I think like I never got to a world, because usually I think like the castle or like one level in each world was like you had to have enough gold stars to be able to even unlock this. Or gold coins, whatever. I never hit that until I got to the special world where I needed, like, I think the final castle, and it was just because I hadn't played the rest of the special world. Unlike 3D World, where you can't, I had to, like, I think clear out and get all 3 of the whatevers for every world through, like, World 4 or 5 to be able to get enough to get to the special levels in 3D World. I think this one's pretty gentle on its game.
You only need 100, which if you also have the daily boxes, I'm assuming they might be daily boxes, but you have those boxes that would refill if you have Street Pass. If you're playing this back in the early time, you would have had them. So, yeah.
Yeah, if you get like 1 or 2 per level, you'd be fine. You never had to like fill out everything to.
No, I didn't. I didn't have to do it till I was going for the 290. Like throughout the game, just getting star coins as I played through a level, I didn't really even replay levels. I had enough to finish the game without issue. It was pretty gentle. Later on.
Not having that 100 means you're definitely ignoring those star coins, which is fine. It's a valid way to play the game. But it's almost a gentle reminder. It's just like, hey, explore these levels a bit more because there's a lot more like poke around. Just a kind of not so gentle encouragement, but it feels friendly to me.
Yeah, because I just played like Sonic Generations, and it was like I got 5 levels in. It's like you got to go replay some levels to unlock more stuff you missed. And I'm like, after 5 levels, really? Okay, fine.
I have never played Sonic Generations yet.
That's a pretty cool one too. Put it on the
Sonic
list.
Generations is great, and those are side levels that have different level designs and different rules and stuff. So Generations is real good.
Mm-hmm.
Sonic's cool.
Playable on Steam Deck, by the way, Mike.
One day. I mean, Steam Deck wouldn't improve how much games I play just because I have a laptop that I play almost all my games on, but I really want to keep it there. So when I go to random places, it looks better than, you pull out your Steam Deck versus I pull out my fucking laptop and hook it up. I'm like, all right, I'm going to play some games. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm playing some games.
My wife was in grad school, she would go study at a coffee shop, and I could play like Assassin's Creed on my gaming laptop, like right next to her.
Well, my wife, I'm drinking at her friends, and I don't drink because I'm the driver. So a lot of times I'll sit with them, I'll have my beer, I'll eat, and then when they get to the point where they start getting more and more drunk, I'm like, all right, now it's time to pull the laptop out. It's like, what are you doing? I'm like, you knew what you did.
It's just like you're at a bachelorette party and you're the DD just sitting there like playing your gaming laptop. It's cute. I love it.
I'm playing Hollow Knight.
I have a friend who, during all parties in the common room, made a point to go down and without talking to anyone play through all of Sonic 2. Just like, that's a power move.
I mean, it's one. I mean, when I'm drinking, I don't mind, but I'm always the driver, and I won't. They're like, just Uber, and I'm like, that cost me money. I can drink at home for free.
Can't play Hollow Knight while driving.
You can play Hollow Knight while drinking. I found out a little bit because I was having a few beers while playing Hollow Knight, and it gets really hard as you start taking shots. Woo.
Yeah, I played Celeste while drinking, and that may have been contributed to why. But I only died like 50 times on the first world while drinking. No, my cousin who loves Celeste died like 200 times on the first world. Like, how are you doing? It's like, I can't. But this did remind me. This playing through reminded me how much I love the 3DS aesthetic and the clamshell, so you can close it with
size. So nice.
It's I still wear cargo shorts, but man, it's such a nice system to just throw in your pocket and go.
The Switch just doesn't feel handheld enough to me. Like, I can't put it in my pocket. I can't have it next to my phone and just pull it out.
Right. I love it. I love the 3DS. It's such a good, perfect system. I would love for just a clamshell for Nintendo's next system to come back would make me happy. But
another friend who could only get through the first level of Radiant Silvergun without continuing when she was drinking.
Just in the zone.
Yep. Which kind of makes sense to me. There's like a level of drunkenness where I play shooting games better.
My golf game is great at like a beer and a half, and then terrible by 2 beers. Oh, yeah.
Find your level.
It's a sweet spot where the anxiety is gone, but also the skill is still there.
It can improve with some stuff. With alcohol can. I know we're ranting, but that's fine. That's what we listen to the show for. When I played Donkey Kong Country 2 for the show a few months ago, I got to try weed not weed. I had edibles for the first time. I was in Vegas, so it was legal. Yeah, but I wasn't smoking. I was just eating it. And my friend had bought some, and it was legal. We're in Vegas. I have never tried it before because I always try to follow the law for some things. For other things, not so much. But so I'm like, okay, and I was just, my wife went to a Magic Mike show, so I'm like, I'm gonna stay home. You enjoy yourself. I'm gonna, sit here and play. I stay at the hotel, so I'm at the hotel playing Donkey Kong Country 2 after I just had some edibles and I got my snacks. I had to go walk to the local CVS to get snacks, and it was a hell of an experience. Like I was only playing World 1 or 2, but it was like I wasn't really enjoying myself. The music was great. I was like, okay, it took, because I suffer anxiety, but like it took away all that, and I just was like, this is amazing gameplay. Nice. So I completely get it. Alcohol doesn't do it for me. But marijuana did it for me. It made me just hyper focused.
Sometimes for me.
It's legal here now, but I'm like, the only reason I did it because it was free too. My friend bought it, and she's like, I can't take these on the plane. I'm like, well, I will take care of that for you.
So I have pulled up my Celeste save file. I have 71 hours in it and a total of 15,056 deaths.
Nice.
But at least it's not a Metroidvania that's trying to be Super Meat Boy at the same time. So, you Hollow Knight. Talking about you, Hollow Knight.
I bet Hollow Knight's real good.
It is real good. There's just one part that you don't have to do to beat the game, but in order to get the secret final boss, it thinks it's Super Meat Boy. It felt like to me. And I had a really hard time with it. But that's it. I mean, no, the game is excellent. Highly recommend playing. There's just one part that was a little tough, or not a little tough, very tough, where you had to like jump around saw blades and stuff, and I just couldn't do it. That's all. All right, I think we should go to Shelf Stacker Box for Super Mario 3D Land. I'll go first. I came into this game with low expectations. I talked shit about this game on the show, I'm sure, before this episode. I only put this on because Vincent was like, I love this game. And I'm like, okay, I need some picks that aren't just my picks. So I'll do a game that I'm unsure about. And I went into this and had an amazing time. I couldn't put it down. Even when I said, okay, I'm done. I said I'm done multiple times in this playthrough. And I beat the game completely, all 16 worlds with save states. And there's a part of me that wants, I'm not going to go for it because I don't have time. But that crown, like, I could go for that crown. But not happening. I do not have time. But it was great. I'm putting it on the shelf. I'm so glad I finally got to play it. I am so glad Vincent convinced me by saying how much he loved it for me to put it on the show. And thank you. Of course. On the shelf. Oh. What about you?
It's going on the shelf. It's great. It's a great game. Mario 3D World, a little bit better, but man, this is just the perfect. It's perfectly exactly what I want out of Mario. It's an easy breezy game. Then it gets challenging and like really does like really cool innovative stuff with the Mario formula. I really like it.
Okay. And you, Dan?
Yeah, this is the definition of a shelf game for me. This is a game I play regularly. I've played it before. I'll replay it again. Love it every time. This is always on my shelf.
Okay. No, I'm glad. I'm really glad that we did this for the show. I mean, like, that's what I love about doing this podcast. It gets me to play games that either maybe I just, haven't played in a long time, had a bad experience with, and I replay it. But it makes me go through stuff that I would never expect. And that's what I love about the show. And I love about playing games that I had no anticipation for. All right. And I should bring up what we're talking about next week. Next week, I'm covering Doom 3 to start Spooktober. Woo! Yay. It was funny. Okay, so I'll say this on here. I'll say it next week, too. But when I started Doom 3 and the first part of the horror game, I'm like, fucking hate Spooktober. Why do I do this to myself as I continue to play Doom 3? So I'm like, here we go again.
That's how Resident Evil was developed. They gave Shinji Mikami the project because he was really, really scared by horror stuff. So they're like, you should direct the horror game. And of course, he made like the most successful, greatest horror game ever made, and then did it like 2 more times.
Yeah, I just don't like it, but because of it's one of those things that we started with the show because a bunch of the 2 of the original founders are big into horror games. So like that was like, okay, we should definitely do something for horror. And then they left, and then I'm like, I still hate horror, but it's Spooktober. So I mean, I do about 6 horror games a year. That's the only horror games I play all year.
What's the best and worst that you played?
One of the worst games, Penumbra Overture. The game is garbage.
Okay.
And it's a good game. It's just I hated it. It scared the hell out of me.
The Amnesia people, right?
Yeah, it's a good game. I shouldn't call it a garbage game. It's just it's very old style too in a way because I'm not used to PC gaming like that, but it's freaky as hell. Best, I can't even think of like some of the games that I know. The game that scared me the most is Resident Evil Remake 2. Okay. I've never been more terrified of a game. It's probably my favorite.
Yeah, that one I definitely played like last year, and I was like, oh, this is fine. I know what Resident Evil is, and I'm like, I'm a big boy. I like horror films now. I was like, this is just unsettling to me.
And why I played it,
constant tension.
I played it in a basement. I played it at night a lot. We had just bought our house, so our house is mostly empty. There's not a lot of furniture. I've been living in apartments.
Yep.
For God, I can't I've been living in apartments in other houses since I was 18. I was like 30, so this is my first time living alone. My wife was working nights a lot of times when I was playing this, and I'm just like, this game is terrifying when you're sitting alone in a house in the basement. You have the lights off because you can't see shit if the lights are on because of the glare, because you didn't set up your house right, your TV right. And it just was terrifying. I beat it with infinite ammo and a handgun or machine gun, but yeah. That I bought for $5. You
played the original 2 recently, right?
Yes, the Recover episode, which you will hear soon on this show.
Nice. That's my favorite horror game.
I really like to. Oh, right. And Vincent, where can people find you at?
You can find me on the Some of My Friends Read Comics podcast. We read a monumental comic every other week. We're closing in on episode 200 in the next few months.
Nice.
But we just read, it's like it's a comic book club. We read, a classic comic. We recently read, we're also in our spooky times because we moved it up because we love horror comics now. We read Saga of the Swamp Thing Volume 3 by Alan Moore with the introduction of John Constantine. So if you like the Sandman TV show or the Sandman comics, It feels a lot like Sandman. Neil Gaiman was clearly cribbing from Swamp Thing. Check it out. It's really good. We'll be right after this episode comes out. We'll be doing She-Hulk Time Trials, where She-Hulk works with the TVA from the Loki TV show in a comic book by Diane Slott. So that should be fun.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, that sounds interesting. I never read any She-Hulk. I haven't watched the show yet either, but
I haven't. We're still got one more episode left of Miss Marvel before we can get into She-Hulk, and then I'm excited. But yeah, Owen Wilson's character is in this She-Hulk comic Time Trial. So
what are your feelings on Dan Slott?
I love his Spider-Man run. I haven't really read much of his stuff other than Spider-Man. The second his Spider-Man run ended and Nick Spencer took over, I read like half of Nick Spencer's first issue, and I was like, I've been reading Spider-Man for 10 years every issue. I'm done. I'll just quit.
Ooh.
So, but yeah, I just stopped there. It felt like a good place to end. I thought Slott's Spider-Man run's great. He sometimes can think he's a little too clever for himself, especially in the mid 2000s. But he's all right. I never finished his thing run either.
Okay. I don't read comic runs. I just read story arcs for this podcast once in a while. I can't.
Those story arcs and runs tend to match up, right?
Yeah,
right.
I mean that's just I can never like stick. Well, now with the show, anything I do, I'm like I should record. So that's an issue.
Yeah.
That's a personal issue. That's a me issue that no one else thankfully suffers.
I tend to follow writers more than I follow characters.
Okay. Like I'm as you'll hear in Spooktober, I'm hopeful you should. I'm doing Sandman Dream Country now because of the show made me like I should really read more Sandman once in a while.
Yeah, that TV show was good.
I haven't finished it, but yes.
I want to read good. Sandman. I've been meaning to for a while.
You should. It's really good.
You can also catch up by listening to several episodes of Games My Mom Found.
We did the first 2 arcs.
Yeah, Chris Dobson was on the second one.
Yeah, he's on Dollhouse, yes.
He's on my show. Some of my friends read
well, that was a year ago. Okay, it wasn't. Yeah, it took us 2 years. We did the first arc, then we didn't do anything for the second year. Then the third year I did that. Now I'm doing the other one. So I'm going to try to keep up with it because I need to finish that damn run. So, all right. I think that's enough of us just ranting and raving for this episode. So if you enjoyed this episode, we have...
Daniel plug time.
Could I do a sign?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, please plug.
Yeah. And I'm Dan Mellman, and you can find me on Twitter at Snacko0.
All right. And as I almost forgot to say, if you want to hear more Mario episodes, we've done a few, and I'm going to plug them right now as soon as I remember to Google things or look up stuff. So we did Super Mario 64, episode 187. Super Mario Sunshine, episode 177. That's cool. It wasn't even planned. Super Mario Brothers 2 with special guest CJ from Player One Podcast, episode 149. Super Mario RPG, episode 125. Super Mario World, episode 84. Super Mario Land 1 and 2, episode 78. Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, episode 35. So we have not done a lot of Marios on this show. But we're trying. And if you enjoyed this, we have a Patreon. You can vote in our Patreon poll. We have 2 right now, top 10 horror movies, or not 10, top 10 horror poll with 4 different ideas you can vote for. Surprise, go find out what they are. And then we also have a top 10, or not top 10. You can vote for a horror movie. I have Midsummer is on there. I don't even remember what else is on there. But there's some cool movies. Go vote. You can affect the show. And they're all horror movies. I hate horror movies. So, see what you guys pick for me to watch. A Cabin in the Woods is currently what's winning right now. And that's a horror movie I pick because that movie's funny as hell. So, if I'm going to watch a horror movie, it's got to be a certain kind of horror movie. So, that's on there. And want to give a shout out to my awesome intro outro courtesy of Helena at Hell Hasphere. You can follow her on TikTok. She makes music. And want to give a shout out to my awesome buddy Bill Tucker, who did the MCU roundup with me, started his own podcast, A Gamer Looks at 40. So please go follow him. Go check out his podcast. He interviews how games affect people's lives. Really great show. Very well done. Definitely check him out. And please follow Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. And we have a Discord if you want to talk with us. And we love to have more people join the Discord. We have a Discord. You'll see a link in the show notes. Go join that. And I think that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.